Hi there, Crystal Thompson here with the Unity Stamp Company project. Today's color combo is what? Purple and teal. I am loving this color combination. It's super easy to create. And then we are using the good things are better. On this card, we are doing some stamping, Copic coloring, some background stamping using 2 ink colors, and then some basic stamping for our sentiment, and embellishing the whole thing with 2 colors of Nuvo Drops. So stay tuned on how to make this. Be sure to give this video a thumbs up and click subscribe to get notifications on more videos. Alright, so for this project we're using the Good Things Are Better. It's a beautiful stencil by Angie, and we have this adorable feather pattern, and I've already colored this with Copics. I stamped it with black, colored with Copics, did some feathering of my own just to add some, and then I went ahead and fussy cut it. Then for the sentiment, we are using The Good Things Are Better With You, and I love the script. I hope that this is her handwriting because it is beautiful. And we're using a piece of pattern paper. This is from Motor Scrap. It just has a light watercolor look to it. You could achieve this by ink blending or watercoloring your own. We have a strip of glitter cardstock that's going to serve as our framing point for our feather. And then we're going to be needing 2 types of inks. We need Altenews and Lavender Fields and Soft Lilac. You don't need specific brands. This is just what I have, and they're just 2 variations of purple. For embellishments, we are using Nuvo Drops. This is in Purple Rain. It's absolutely beautiful, glittery and iridescent. Kind of matches this cardstock. And then we're using a Nuvo Drops, and these are in the Violet Galaxy, and they kind of have a pearl sheen to it. So we are going to begin by stamping that Soft Lilac onto our feather. And so all we're going to do is we're going to do some very random stamping of this feather. It's going to just give it a nice little look. You will need a black ink to add your sentiment, or you can heat emboss if you choose. But all it's doing is creating that little background, is adding those feathers, and it's going to tie it all very nicely. Moving on to the dark, which is that Lavender Fields, and you want to go light to dark, and the reason why is that you might only end up stamping the feather in that darker color once. So depending on what you're trying to achieve for layering, you really only want to do it once or twice so it doesn't overpower your project. So we're doing some DIY backgrounds with stamping, yet we're going to be doing it on a piece of pattern paper. So feel free to stamp your pattern papers. It's a great way to utilize all your products. Okay, so before I move on, I'm going to grab my sentiment, and I need some black ink. In this case, I'm using the Tailored Expressions Hybrid ink, and I'm just going to place where my stuff's going to go, but I'm not going to glue it down. And the reason why is that I don't want to get my acrylic block stuck on these things and not be able to stamp down. So I'm kind of getting an idea that's going to work. So I'm going to move these guys aside, and then I'll ink up. And you can even use a pencil or something if you really want to mark your place on where you're stamping. And I'm making sure that I've got it. This is the first time I stamp with this stamp, so I like to kind of stamp it over on a piece of spare cardstock to make sure that this is what I want to stamp as a sentiment, and that I got it right side up. I'm just kind of rocking this back and forth and letting it sit for a couple seconds to really allow that pattern paper to absorb the color, and it did, and it's just really pretty. And like I said, you could totally go ahead and heat emboss if you chose to, but I'm not going to. So I'm going to place this strip, and I feel like we need one more feather end right here. So we're going to bring back our feather along with our darker lavender, which is the Lavender Fields. Make sure you have something to protect your surface. And then we're going to stamp down, and again, I'm just kind of holding it. Now we have a beautiful set of 3 leaves, or excuse me, feathers. So we're going to add this strip. And don't worry if it's not quite matching yet. We will go ahead and trim it right before we're done with our project. But before we embellish, I'm going to add the feathers that I had colored with my Copics. And I'm loving this color combination. So you can do up or down. I'm kind of going to go up here. I'm going to turn it. Okay, and then we're going to flip this over. We're going to bring our scissors and just snip those edges. Make sure that they're nice and straight. You can even use your paper trimmer. All right, so that's what we got right there. And so we are ready to embellish. I'm gonna bring in my glittery, and this is the Purple Rain. Make sure it's gonna go. Okay. And then I'm just gonna do itty bitty drops. So the reason I chose 2 is that I was gonna use the glitter for embellishment of the end of the feather. So as you noted, I don't know if you can see on the camera, these feathers have like little wispies and have little dots. And so I thought I would accentuate those by adding little glitter dots onto them. So you don't have to do the step, it just kind of adds more. And if we're using glitter, we gotta use more glitter, right? And I am just embellishing the little dots on the ones that I use the darker purple. Again, super happy with this. And then I'm gonna bring in the Violet Galaxy. As I mentioned, this is a little bit darker. And I want to be sure that it's gonna come out and not just splatter at me or all over my beautiful project. And I'm just gonna continue on the little drops that I was telling you about. But because this is kind of a pearl, you're really able to make them a lot smaller. And you don't need a ton of embellishment with the glitter. So guys, as I'm finishing this up, I want to thank you so much for joining me today. There's a step-by-step on the Unity Stamp Company blog. So if you came here from there, thank you for doing so. And if you're just watching on my channel or on the Unity Stamp Company channel, hop on over and see the full tutorial with more pictures if you really want to check it out. I will have all links to products used below, including the Unity stamps. And guys, that does it for me. Thank you so much for joining me today. Have a lovely purple day.